So,
even worse is when he reconnects his speech centers, and then Spock's going, right, I'm going to talk you through it now.
yeah, it's so bad.
It's so
No,
shit.
it's vocal
And that,
cords. It's
that is the producer was like, oh, this would be really fun. What if you reconnected his vocal cords and he talked, and that wasn't even in the original script. So they were just making this up as they went along.
It's so bad. And one of the things in The Handmaid's Tale is that Offred isn't permitted to read either. And so she has to spend a lot of time in a room doing nothing because reading's illegal. And The Handmaid's Tale is just American slavery, but for white women. And so in the 18th and 19th centuries, a lot of southern states passed literacy laws that made it illegal for Black people to be taught to read. And so
if you can see the look on my face right now of absolute astonishment.
Yeah. So this thing about preventing her from reading is a real proper signifier that she is enslaved and oppressed.
So what is it that what if they have knowledge that
exactly
they could learn, you know, there's a better life than this, and there's more to life than, you know. Well, I mean, do you know what the expectation was to get 100% though? Was that he had to teach the ball queen empathy.
Oh, and beat her at chess. Like, it's so great. Now, here we are in the naked time simulation.
This is just blissful. Look, there's men snogging and having sex.
Yeah. There's Jet naked, looking fantastic.
Ooh, there's an interracial male couple.
Yeah, an Andorian and a
oh my god, I don't know
lady.
where you start and where I begin.
And it's Ransom. Oh,
and the other thing is, the annoying thing with Voyager is every now and again, right, they lean into the idea of the premise. So they do Scorpion, and it's like, oh my god, we're entering Borg space. And then in the next episode, like, well, we're out of Borg space now. Like, you know, pushed us out of that. And then in season 6, they do Equinox, and they've got a ship that went into the Delta Quadrant exactly the same time as Voyager. And they've made all the wrong moves, and they've stepped on races to get ahead. And it's clearly been a much more. And why the hell haven't we been watching Star Trek Equinox instead of Voyager? Because that sounds way more interesting. And then in series 7, they do the most egregious thing they could possibly do. And they do the Void, where Voyager ends up in this strange period of space in the Delta Quadrant, where they have to form alliances with all these races for a single episode. And it's full of conflicts and space battles. And you're like, well, what the hell is this? What have we been watching for the last 7 years? Sorry, I know it's a bit of a rant. But
I love, too, the fact that the future gave us the chance to reinvent how Star Trek looks as well.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Not...
I know we've said this before about how, you know, what's Discovery going to look like pre-original Trek technology. That's never going to happen. But this gives an excuse now.
That's the one
isn't
thing
going to upset all those, you know, those canon meisters.
No, I like upsetting those people, and I'm sorry that we can't do it.
You are terrible. Can I just can I preempt a scene that's coming later, right? Because what I think happens is Beverly Crusher has a look at her rota for the day, right? And then she has to choose which member of her crew is going to sit at the console that explodes if they get into any trouble whatsoever.
So she puts exploding console.
She puts that very robotic ensign there because she's like, well, I don't like her very much, and we're probably going to get into trouble. Honest to God, I was like, really? Are we still doing this? Bloody exploding consoles. I mean, they weren't any rocks.
To do it.
They weren't any bloody rocks, so they moved on from that. No.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Yeah. Well,
I love this scene. I'm sorry to take you away from this bit where I love the way Janeway can cut straight to the point sometimes. She's just basically like, sort your shit out, sort your marriage out. Okay, I'm not getting involved, and just orders them out.
I'm in awe of the way she gets up out of the chair in a minute. It's so great. She's just so good.
Hair always looks so fabulous, doesn't it? Kate Mulgrew, honestly. When they let her have it down, obviously it was like the Avery Brooks effect in series 1 to 3, where they forced her to have it tied back in a very masculine way.
Oh no, she has a sort of French curl like Richie Cunningham's mother. I really like
when it
that.
comes down, I love it. And then you know when it's gone to shit in like Year of Hell because it's all over the place and in disarray, you know. Oh,
in this sort of new world, new environment. Oh my god!
Here we go. It's the Bomar.
These aliens are so shit. They're so bad. Holy crap!
They look like people have shoved wire coat hangers over their heads.
Oh, so there's no sort of unifying idea of what they look like. It is just sort of bung a heap of Star Trek latex shit on their faces.
I think they look a bit like the Hirogen, but with coat hangers around their heads.
But the Hirogen have a more definite look, and they're about something.
Look at their outfits.
What the fuck are these guys?
Those clothes are terrible.
So this as well. So these two. Yeah. So there's two really great gags here. And one is that she kind of goes, I don't know why the bureaucrats have, reassigned my next few missions. And he goes, yeah, who knows? And that's it. It never goes any further. So it's just sort of strongly implied that he's the one who's done it. And then she thinks he's down to fuck, that he's missed her. And now we're going to go and have sex. And then he asks, how's your throwing arm? So again, yeah. Oh, look. I mean, it's so warm. It's so beautiful. I love Marina. I just love her so much. She's so superb.
But when I say that this could have been like just the actors reuniting, and they lean to a bit. This is Troy and Picard. This isn't Marina Sirtis and Patrick Stewart. No. Like they are being.
But look at very how intimate it is. Look at her touching his face. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. Yeah, just the warmth that we never had.
You feel the weight of the relationship, don't you?
But we never had that warmth in Star Trek: The Next Generation or anything like
that. But it doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel like it's a lie to their characters. I'm sure there's a terrible DS9 holodeck episode. I just can't think of it. Like, look at it's like it even uses the holodeck in like It's Only a Paper Moon, doesn't it, to explore PTSD and things like that.
Yeah. Well, they do what Voyager does, which is they have a holodeck program that's running all the time, and they go there and visit, and it's their bar.
It's so boring in a way. TOS is just like, oh well, we're just gonna have weird stuff happening.
Yeah,
and it's just happening. We don't need some boring technology to give an excuse.
So, but what about those guys?
Actually, I want to talk to you about the dialogue, because we've talked a lot about kind of how naturalistic Kurtzman era Trek dialogue is, and how stylized 90s Trek dialogue is. And my sort of preference is more towards 90s than the modern day stuff. And I remember your argument was like, this is made now, so people should sound like, contemporary. And I do kind of get that. But I think the dialogue in this episode is exceptionally good on the whole. And when that stylized, and they do it, more scripted episodes are especially good, I think. When they get it right, it's really intelligent, really sophisticated dialogue, and imminently quotable, I think. Think of them both as tragic victims of war. I mean,
well,
the idea, isn't it, of taking kind of the consequences of 20 years of war, transplanting it into the future, and then showing how we're trying to move on from that, and how there's the old Trek ideal of we're better than this, and we can get there. We can get there again. We've been there, and we can get there again.
And so those people, I think, who initially criticized Kurtzman Trek for not being Trek enough, for not having those ideals enough, I think that they're wrong, because I think that the whole of Discovery Series 1 is about responding to war or conflict or difficulty by clinging more closely to those ideals. And clearly Picard's about that. And that's what this is about.
Admiral Nechayev. Now, she should have been a regular, because the way she grabs Picard's nuts every time she sees him.
Do you remember there's that blonde admiral in Picard who tells
Oh,
Picard to fuck off or
you
whatever.
love that. You love
Shut
that,
the
didn't
fuck
you?
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine
I
if that had
couldn't
been
stand that.
Nechayev.
Oh, now she could have got away with it because she's tough as nails. But you know what? Right, Picard's such an arrogant fuck. The fact that she emasculates him so much. These scenes are just a joy, aren't they?
Yes.
And
Zero.
And the jelly. What's the jelly called?
Murph.
Oh my god!
And the jelly.
The bit where he slid across during an action sequence, you just saw him slide across the bridge. I was in fits of laughter.
No, she's a power lesbian from World War.
Lesbian. She really is.
Yeah.
There's no hint at all that she fancies anyone but Seven of Nine.
No.
That's because
the
energy crackles. But there's a lot of that out there, on the internet. These pictures of Janeway and Seven of Nine.
Oh yeah, of course.
Honestly,
of course there are.
But I was reading an interview with one of the writers, and they're basically saying that this is Kate Mulgrew being Humphrey Bogart in a World War II setting, and it kind of is, isn't it? Oh, she's like, she might have had a lot of complaints about Jerry Ryan coming in, but I think the knock-on effect is that Janeway is even more impressive.
Yeah.
When and I do think it's because of their scenes together. And in this, they just sizzle together.
Yeah. Gosh, Jerry's good. She's singing again. So great.
But it's like one doesn't best the other. They complement.
No.
That's what the actresses should have been seeing. Is how good they are together.